Welcome back to Heath's house, where we do a little bit of everything all the time, and it usually turns out right. Last night's Santa sleigh ride was a pretty good success. A couple hiccups along the way, but everything turned out great and the kids had a blast. This morning, none of the kids have school. I had to work some, but I'm taking a little break here. Number 5 has requested chocolate crepes, which are a hit throughout the neighborhood. So I'm going to be whipping up a very large batch of chocolate crepes. And then a whole bunch of kids are going to raid my house and eat all of my marshmallows and chocolate crepes. I'm also going to whip up some espresso whipped cream to go in them because that is delicious for the adults. So follow along and I hope you enjoy this. All right, here we go. I did email all the kids' parents, so we're going to get started. And I've got to make a lot of crepes today, which means we're going to need a lot of butter melted. So when we're making the chocolate crepes, I use dark chocolate, Dutch processed cocoa. Well, you might have seen me look away for a second. As I was getting ready to do that, I saw Heath in the background. He just showed up with 8 other neighbor kids, and they just ate 32 crepes. Looks like he's back again for a second. You guys need more food? All right. So I hope you enjoyed those crepes and everything I just made. Had to turn it off because the kids showed up. But they ate it all. They enjoyed it all. Now we got some extra Nerf darts in the kitchen. Just in case, we need to have a Nerf battle while we're eating crepes. So I'm going to reset the process and start over again because we are now out of crepes. All right. Let's get this process started. All right, so to get started, don't have to make as many crepes now, but none of the adults got some. Like I said, I don't really measure. Half a cup of flour, maybe a little more. I use less flour with the chocolate crepes because this chocolate is very dry and it's basically flour. So I'm sifting it right now. Gotta get the chunks out of here. And I put probably 3 tablespoons of Dutch processed cocoa in here. And then one of the keys is just a little bit, probably about half a teaspoon, I guess, of espresso powder in. And then we need brown sugar. Let's call it a tablespoon. So with my crepes, I tend to go egg heavy instead of milk. Some crepes don't even have eggs in them. My crepes have a lot of egg. It's more of like the crepe you'd get if you were getting like a cheese blintz. Those have a lot of eggs. But I think I'm gonna actually put one more egg in here. Coming into town. So once you're making the crepes, I put the eggs in first. Get them nice and mixed in so they're broken up. Then I add enough milk. Oops, brought a milk in that fridge. Just enough milk where it's a nice thick paste that you can whisk so you get any other remaining chunks out. You want this to be really smooth. I use brown sugar in pretty much everything. This though is really good if you use maple syrup. I put brown sugar in it today, but I've done this with maple syrup before, and it is very delicious. And I typically put vanilla in everything, but with this chocolate and the espresso, the vanilla doesn't really do much without adding a ton. So I just leave this as chocolate. And like I said, you want to just keep doing this until it's nice and smooth. So there we go. Now once that's done, this is 4 tablespoons of butter. Alright, so to get started, don't have to make as many crepes now, but none of the adults got some. Like I said, I don't really measure. Half a cup of flour, maybe a little more. I use less flour with the chocolate crepes because this chocolate is very dry and it's basically flour. So I'm sifting it right now. Gotta get the chunks out of here. And I put probably 3 tablespoons of Dutch processed cacao in here. And then one of the keys is just a little bit, probably about half a teaspoon, I guess, of espresso powder in. And then you need brown sugar. Let's call it a tablespoon. So with my crepes, I tend to go egg heavy instead of milk. Some crepes don't even have eggs in them. My crepes have a lot of egg. It's more of like the crepe you'd get if you were getting like a cheese blintz. Those have a lot of eggs. But I think I'm gonna actually put one more egg in here. Coming to town. So once you're making the crepes, I put the eggs in first. Get them nice and mixed in so they're broken up. Then I add enough milk. Oops, brought a milk in that fridge. Just enough milk where it's a nice thick paste that you can whisk so you get any other remaining chunks out. You want this to be really smooth. I use brown sugar in pretty much everything. This though is really good if you use maple syrup. I put brown sugar in it today, but I've done this with maple syrup before, and it is very delicious. And I typically put vanilla in everything, but with this chocolate and the espresso, the vanilla doesn't really do much without adding a ton. So I just leave this as chocolate. And like I said, you want to just keep doing this until it's nice and smooth. So there we go. Now once that's done, this is 4 tablespoons of butter. Once the butter is blended in there really nice and everything's smooth, you just add enough milk to make it runny enough to spread out on the pan. We don't want these too thick. Yeah, it's probably good. So for my crepe pan, which is, actually I don't even know if it's a crepe pan, I just really like it. It's a carbon steel pan. It's not that thick, but it heats up perfectly for crepes, and it doesn't have a very big lip on it, so it's easy to flip the crepes off. First one almost always messes up. You gotta get the heat just right for these things to come out properly. But tastes just as good. Just doesn't look as pretty. And hopefully when I put this down, there's a nice little sizzle. Yeah, that's what you want to hear right there. Spin it around. Now since the kids aren't here, I'm just gonna make a ton of crepes and stack them all up on my rack right there. And then when they come back in, we can heat them up and add the marshmallows then. It's a lot more efficient that way. Trying to make one crepe at a time when you have 9 hungry kids all craving fat-free marshmallows, it gets a bit complicated. So they don't take very long to cook. Yeah, see the first one, it's gonna stick. But that's all right. This one's mine. Gives me a little snack to eat while I'm making them all. Make sure it's all cooked. Boop. Yeah, that one there's for me. So I use a 1/4 cup of batter for each of my crepes. Seems to work perfect for this pan. I actually have a bigger crepe maker up top. It makes a good 10-inch crepe, which is nice if you're doing savory crepes, because once you start stuffing pulled pork and eggs and stuff like that inside the crepes, you want a little bit more. But 99% of the time we just use the small one. I can whip them out pretty quick for the kids. It is still cold today. I think it's probably in the 30s maybe. And all 8 kids are going between all the different yards right here. Just one right after another. They're playing on the trampoline. I think they're digging. I can't tell what they're doing right now. I'm gonna actually go check on them real quick. Well, I guess it's a good thing I went outside. 2 of them collided on the trampoline. Some feelings were hurt, but they talked it out. Now they're best buddies again, and they're bouncing back on the trampoline. They were doing a flipping contest, and 2 of them flipped at the same time. So we do crepes probably twice a week, once a week, I guess. I guess we do French toast more. So we do crepes about once a week. The littlest loves crepes the most. He usually stuffs them with Nutella or mushrooms. Number 3, he doesn't really like the crepes as much. He likes the French toast. I prefer the French toast for breakfast because each slice they're getting almost 2 eggs in each slice of French toast, the way I make it. And so it's a great way to give them some protein in the morning. All right, I'm gonna finish making these up and then we'll do the whipped cream. All right, we got one more crepe to go. And then it's time to grill hot dogs because the kids came running back in and they're hungry. See if there's enough left in there to do one. Yeah, there's a hole in there. Gonna make up some espresso whipped cream really quick though. That way once these cool down we can stuff them. It's kind of like a really soft chocolatey cannoli. They're very delicious. Oh, and you can use these chocolate crepes. If you do like blintzes, you get some of that farmer's cheese and make your little batter to stuff them. Oh, these things are delicious as cheese blintzes. All right, while these cool, I'm going to pull out my bowl and my heavy cream. We'll put like a cup. It's probably a cup. We're going to put a little bit of brown sugar in there as well, which is right here. All right, it's like a tablespoon maybe. And then the espresso powder. I gotta sift this because it's chunky. It's probably a teaspoon and a half. And in this, I am actually going to add some vanilla paste. All right, now, well, helps if I plug it in, I guess. Alright, now we're just going to whip that. And then we'll put it back in the fridge to solidify a little bit more. And then once these are cool, we'll spread it out, roll them, and cut them open and have some delicious treats. Well, that's whipping up. I'm going to actually throw these in the fridge. It'll chill them down a little quicker. And this is almost done. I'm going to pause it for a second to get all the extra espresso off the edge. Yep, tastes pretty good. Don't want this to get too stiff, but we want it full. All right, so here we go. It's pretty stiff. Not too stiff though. So now we're gonna roll this out on some of these crepes, which should be chilled. Yeah, these are good. All right. Kids are all in the house right now because they want some food, so I keep having to cut the video off as they're running in and out of here. But so when you roll this out on here, you don't want too much because it's going to create thin layers. So you kind of want it about the same width as the crepe. So here we go. That's with the cream. Now we roll it gently. Keep it pretty tight because you don't want it to come apart. All right. Now we just cut it. All right. So that's what you get right there. That is your chocolate crepe with an espresso whipped cream in the middle. You had this with an espresso in the morning? That would be delightful. All right, well, thanks for stopping by Heath's house where the food is always fresh and the back deck's always open. And you always have kids running through the house most of the time. So I appreciate you hanging out with me today, all the little interruptions, and hope you guys enjoy some chocolate crepes. Until next time.